Please, if you have any questions, please just note it down. We'll be taking it during the Q&A session. Quickly, I want to introduce the next speaker. Is Mr. Femi Awosedo. I hope I pronounced it very well. Sorry, it's just kidding. Okay, so he's our last speaker for this event. So his name is Mr. Femi Awosedo. He's the CEO of Bright Tech Plus, a leading company specializing in QHSC and ISO consultation, as well as business feasibility study planning and proposal. A boast of 14 years of versatile work experience spanning from food to pharmaceuticals, financial technology, and oil and energy industry. He is a certified trainer, auditor, and accredited partner by prominent organizations and is committed to delivering high-quality services and solutions, and his passion extends to staying abreast of the latest trends and development in the field. It strives to provide exceptional value to clients and partners in the ever-evolving landscape of QHSC and ISO standards. And Mr. Femi will be speaking to us today on navigating challenges and building trust, a path, to successful expansion of our business to the global stage. Please welcome Mr. Femi. Mr. Femi, over to you.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Please, if you can hear me, kindly give me a response.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so give me a few minutes. Let me just share my slide there. Okay, not to take much of our time. Today, I will just take us through the topic, navigating challenges and building trust are the paths to global success. Before I proceed, I would like to make emphasizes and appreciate my previous legend speaker, the person of Mr. Dapo Omolade. I think he has specialized a lot of points of the challenges in Nigeria, especially when it comes to business in this country. And also, Mr. Taiwo also have talked about a lot of way in which we can promote our business, which Mrs. Tunuke also talks about how we can use our strengths to promote the network, and which is our network in business development. Moving forward today, I'll just give you through as what Bright Tech Plus is all about, and which our host for today have explained, just to manage our time properly. So for today's agenda, we'll go to the introduction, business challenges in Nigeria. Also, we'll look at the global challenges for Nigeria business, the importance of building trust, the element of trust, and how to build trust, which will help us to promote our business brand across globe. When we say across globe, it means that all over the world. So the common business challenges in Nigeria, the first one there is the infrastructural problem, which Mr. Dapo has explain in details. When we talk about the infrastructural problem, we are talking about the performance experience that sets back our industrial sectors, that result in a decay and inadequate infrastructure facility of the Nigeria business. We are looking at the bad road, the lack of electricity supply. We are looking at the government policy. And also the other factors here, which is the challenge, is the corruption. The corruption has shown Nigeria to the whole world that Nigerians are not fit to do business with. So how do we change this perspective is very, very important. And also, another challenge here is the foreign exchange restriction. I can remember I was having a client that wanted to take ISO training certification with my organization. And the question is, we need dollar. But what is the exchange rate between dollar and naira? How does this affect the business? Today we have inflation affecting the dollar, and it affects the Nigerian economies. Every candidate that wants to buy the product have to change their currency to naira so that you can pay your partner. So we now talk about the local content. Local content is very, very important. As Mr. Omolade has said, we need to promote our local content. And local content promotions help us and show us to the whole world that we are capable and competent to deliver this brand. And how do we promote our local content? The first thing we need to do is acceptability. Today, I followed a very strong brand in the HSC nature, and which Mr. Awosedo has been one of the drivers of this. I give kudos and respect to Mr. Femi da Silva, as I've had the opportunity to meet these people, to meet Mr. Femi one-on-one before, and every time I see him online, I appreciate the effort in which he has put in place to promote the local content. We look at our intellectual property. How do we manage our intellectual property? It's very, very important. Most of us in this country, we believe in that word, chapa. We all want to run away from Nigeria because Nigeria has a problem. But no matter where we run to, the Nigeria problem still persists. What do we need to do to ensure that we're able to use our intellectual property to promote the business in the country? What about the government policy? We have changed the policy as we have changed the government. However, if you look at the other Western world, a change in government does not really mean there will be overall changes in the government policy. No. The Western world review their policy, and we have what we call continuous improvement of the policy. That means there is consistency that promotes their business, which makes sure that their small businesses in the country add to the GDP of the country. We now talk about the regional security. The picture in which we post all over the world is this: Nigeria is not a safe place to work, which is what we are facing, especially in the northern side of this country. And it has really affected doing business in the country. So moving forward, we look at what are the business global challenges that face Nigeria business. Language barriers. There are some countries that they speak French, and we need to do business with them. So for us to do business with such kind of country, we need to understand their languages. We look at the legal and regulatory differences. For example, in ISO standard, they try the information security perspective. What are the regulatory aspects of the reference that affect your products coming to the country? If you're moving products from Nigeria to outside Nigeria, there are rules and regulations that guide it. Just like when we are bringing products to Nigeria, there are some products you cannot import. And that is the reason why most of the time the government says that they are closing the border. They're not shutting the border against all importation, but they are shutting the border against a certain brand or product that is coming in. The same things of this affect us selling our brand outside the country. The cultural diversity. The cultural diversity plays a very, very important role, which Mr. Dapo has explained deeply. I'll manage to say this: for us to have a good business challenges or solution in this country, we need to understand the cultural differences between Nigeria and other countries. What and what is what we need to sell to them? We sell our local content, which is very, very important. Some of the word in the music industry, they call it originality. We don't need to do something that we want to make the global standard. We need to set a standard. I remember in the year 2023 point of correction, I was invited by the ISO organization to talk about the SMA challenges and how the international organization for standardization can help to promote our businesses. So the cultural differences in the country affect the business, and the best way we can manage it is to make sure that we promote our local content and make them see and perceive us as originality. The technological challenges. You see, in year 2016, I was opportune to follow a trend online. And I was coming up with an online training which you can easily do something, study online, do your exam online, and do what? Get your certificate. But there's something that was raining there, they called MMM. Every people I introduced this ideology to, the first thing is like, okay, how much am I going to make? Is it going to fetch me money? At first, I was down. But in 2019, I was doing business research and business feasibility study for a client. And I come across the next coming global challenge. I never knew COVID-19 is stepping in. But the moment COVID-19 stepping, the technology world change, it require everybody to have idea of technology, how to use the internet, how to use automation process. So how do we, as a country called Nigeria, improve in our technology? We need to ensure that we meet up with the rate growth of the technology advances all over the world. With this, we'll be able to sell our brand across the globe. The other thing is the sustainability and social responsibility. Today, we call it ESG. So for our sustainability, we need to make sure that how do we sustain this business? Firstly, when you have a business as in Nigeria, and we're able to sell to a client today, and tomorrow the client tries to reach you, they say, oh, the product is not available. Tomorrow the product is not available. That means you are going to lose the client. And also, what is our social responsibility to the world? It is not about us, I just want to do business, I don't care about the impact. What is the impact of this business? What is the impact of this business both to human around us, impact to the environment? So we need to be responsible to the social responsibility of our business. With this, we can cut across the challenges of the business we have in Nigeria across globe. And in summary of that, we have the cultural differences, the fierce global competition, the regulatory odds that catch Nigeria business from growing all over the world, the very customer behavior. And in that behavior is an attitude in which African, I would say, when I mean African, I mean Nigeria, how do we react to our local context? Firstly, I appreciate Mr. Dapo once again. For you to be the business in this country, it needs to be very, very acceptable by your people. It is when we, as Nigeria, accept our brand, that is when we can now think of promoting the brand across globe. Looking at building trust. When we accept the brand, then we need to build a trust. Building trust, transparency, and credibility is very, very important to establish a positive reputation on the international stage. The importance of building trust practice in business is that you must be able to do what? To be consistent, be available, show credibility, and show availability of the business. If you start a business today and in the next 4 months, the business is not there, that means that whosoever you have done the business with will not be able to patronize you the second day or the second time. So this will affect the growth of the business. And sometimes people see it, they call it fraud. You can imagine if I reach out to you as a client today, I'm interested in buying your product, and you told me it costs this, it costs that, and I patronize you. The following day, I try to reach you, your number is not reachable, or your internet is down, or your website is down, or your application is no more working. Then something comes to my mind that, is this business really genuine? And that's what I do most. Most of my business, I run it online. I'll tell you as a client, please, check up the business online. Do your investigation. Call it background check of the business. You need to build trust with the world. And how do we build this trust? Is this. Trust matters in business. Number one, customers, which are your consumer. Trusted companies have stronger consumers, buyers, and advocates. When your consumers trust you, then you have a stronger customer who will always say, no matter what, I'm interested in this brand. Today, everybody talks about GTV, people talk about a lot of local brand in this Nigeria. For example, looking out for Tunde Olokoya. Tunde Olokoya is the founder of Chess in the Slum for Africa. The way he starts this ideology, the way he promotes it locally before taking it outside the country, he was generally acceptable and supported locally. Then the whole world can feel what he's selling. The employee, trust drive workplace recommendation. Do our employees trust us? There are some organizations or business where the workers or the employee do not trust the CEO, do not trust their colleagues. Then what is going to be the perspective? I've come to the LinkedIn several times, I will see an ex-employee posting negative words about his previous organization. It shows that trust has been broken. And what he or she has posted on that link, they say, internet will remember you, as effect on this country. If you post anything negative about your organization on social media, You are telling the whole world that Nigeria is not what? Is not good to do business with. Now, and people easily judge the whole country by little ration of the population. The regulators, trusted companies have greater license to operate. We need to look, how do we build trust? By going or getting professional certification for regulation. For a professional certification organization in Nigeria, most of us get accreditation for a certain professional training course. For businesses, you get your certificate of CAC to ensure that you are being recognized in the country. And a lot of regulators that we direct the appeal of the country of the business port operation, and also we have our auditors. This gives trust to the company. We have investors that trusted companies have license to. You can imagine if tomorrow the person of the CEO of UBA decided to invest in my business. No, it's going to promote the trust of the business. We have resilience against risk. No, trusted companies have stronger consumer buyers and advocates. No matter the risk, how do you manage your risk? And this risk comes from your risk analysis in which you have done during setting up your business, looking at your business scope. What are the risks? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses of my business? How do I manage this risk? How do I manage this threat that is outside my control? With this, we can keep on building trust for the organization. Some business rise up and crash within few months because maybe they were defrauded of their capital assets, or there is corruption or fraud within the system. The market also matters. Trust drive workplace recommendation, like I've explained about the employees. So looking at the market, we have a big market in the whole world. I make a post on social media, which is LinkedIn, says we are global citizens. Whatsoever you are thinking today in this generation, in this era of artificial intelligence, then you need to think globally. Whatsoever you are speaking about on social media, or whatsoever we are discussing with a colleague, we need to think globally, because whatsoever we have passed as a message matters most in the trust of the business. The media coverage, which is the overall tools of business promotion. A lot of people think those days that we sit down facing the TV, television set to look at the news. No. Today, the media has gained power to promote our brand. But the trust in the media coverage matters. What do we promote on our media coverage? Today, a lot of business have grown to a level that they're making billions and they're adding to the GDP of the country. Looking at the skits maker, those comedians, sometimes I wonder, how do they come up with this idea? But they have made use of the opportunity when the whole world was shut down during COVID-19 in the year 2020. And they have been able to grow beyond the country. So with this trust matter, we'll be able to ensure that we create a brand that the whole world will trust our product and services. The important element of trust, number one of this is reliability. Are we reliable? If you remember, when I was explaining my aspect of customer attention, if we are reliable, then by the time you give a call to your client and your client says, okay, I need so product at so time, will you be able to meet up with it? That is our service delivery level. Our sincerity, if you cannot meet up with this business or with this order, what do we do? Do we show sincerity? 2 years, should I say, 1.5 years ago, a client reached out to me online who is interested in having business feasibility study for his business. And I said, okay, I can do this. We are going to provide you this, and this. At the point, he changed the scope of the work. And the only thing I could do is, okay, well, my teams are working on your request, but because you are asking for a change of scope, under project management, a change of scope, we need to review every document. And because the client said he's not interested, I just told him we have a refund policy. If you're not going to proceed, we have to refund your initial payment. Sincerity in business is one important element of trust, which we need as a country, as in Nigeria, to promote our business across the globe. Capability. The capability of the individual business matters. The first thing we look at is that what is the strength of our business? We have the hybrid here, group of company, if I'm correct, Mr. Dapo. No, hybrid has grown beyond what I expect. Now, I've been the follower of the organization for a long time. I know Mr. Dapo will be wondering that why do I mention his name? No, we started our business because we have mentors, but you cannot do what you cannot do. Don't go and promise a client what or you cannot deliver. Business capacity is very, very important. It goes across sales, business development, and branding, production, and communication. See, sometimes the way we communicate with our clients or with our business partners matters. Whatsoever, if I'm unable to deliver a business as promised, how do I manage my customer? How is my communication line? Am I able to communicate in a way that the client or the business partner will be able to understand my point of view without disparaging or disrupting the business line? These are the most important elements of trust in business. However, we have other more of it. But for the purpose of this presentation, we're talking about reliability of our business, the sincerity of the business, the capability, and the communication skills that has been applied to the business. Then how do we build this trust? The first is respect and recognition. Respect is important as an African nation because African Nigeria is built on respect. We need to respect people and give them their own recognition. The other one is effective communication, just like I've explained. So we need to communicate effectively. It is not about speaking jargons or boasting or showing pride. No. We need to ensure that whosoever we are dealing with in our business line understand what message we are passing. Under communication matrix, who are we talking to or who is the message going through? What channel do I need to pass this message? There are some messages you cannot pass over social media. There are some communication that you cannot pass through a business organization via your text message. So effective communications help us to build a trust in the organization. There are some people that you cannot talk to them on phone. You need to have an appointment in their office. See, today I'm still trying to build an appointment with one of my mentors online. How empower the employees. If you look at our ISO standard, the importance of employee in the business is not overstated. The reason is this: whatsoever the employee understand, employee is the brand ambassador of every business. And whatsoever they deploy about the business on the social network is what people see about that business. I've seen a lot of people post and promote their organization that they work for. Then we need to do more of that. We need to promote and empower our employees to ensure that they understand their impact in the organization and business. Sincere interaction. Let's have sincere interaction with every business partner. We call them stakeholders, both internal and external stakeholders. They are people who have or perceive to be attracted by the business. And we need to demonstrate our ability. Like I've explained, our ability in every business matters most in the trust. We don't need to bid for a business that you cannot deliver. Because the moment a trust is broken once, it can take you years for you to revert it back. You could imagine someone coming to the social media and post something negative about a business. So it takes the whole organization or top management to revamp that comment and ensure that the person go back there and say something positive. And this has affected the business across the globe because we are. In conclusion, I will say this: Nigeria brand can be recognized and accepted only if we communicate, collaborate, engage, partner, and share the same agenda, interest, and idea more openly and towards the same vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. Thank you for that detailed presentation. We've come to the end of all the discussions, and it's time to take questions. Please, if you have any question, please raise your hand and you're allowed to speak. want to say a very big thank you to all our speakers, Mr. Atinuke, Mr. Dapo, Mr. Taiwo, and Mr. Femi. Thank you for the detailed presentation and taking your time to really, really, explain and expose us to some of the things that we need to know and put in place to take our business, to the global stage. Okay, I have Emmanuel Adebola raising his hands. Okay, please unmute yourself to speak.
Good day, everyone. I want to say a big thank you to you for organizing this session. Unfortunately, I joined late, but I enjoyed the sessions, the part that I caught about trust, about ensuring that we engage the relevant stakeholders that we work with. And there was also the latter part where he said that when we do this, we promote the best of Nigeria. I'm happy to let you all know that I'm based in Canada, and one of the things we're doing is to promote entrepreneurship development among Nigerians here. And one of the speakers today, Tunuke Ogunbi Tina, we call her Tina, is actually on the board of ANA Global and has been not just talking, but walking the talk. So well done to you all. I'm wishing you even greater success in what you do. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bukola. Let me maybe jump in here. So the person that just spoke is Emmanuel Babatunde Adebola, Iman. Yeah, and then I was just thinking, thanks, Iman, for joining. And I absolutely agree with you. One of the things I'm thinking maybe we'll take back with Bukola and standards, best practices is maybe how we can do more collaboration between organizations like ANE Global that we have in Canada with you guys that are based in Nigeria, because I see a lot of benefits and learnings and I guess I'll say transferable skills that we can definitely all leverage. So thanks, Iman, for joining, and I really appreciate your coming up and coming on board and speaking as well.
Oh, that's fantastic, Ma. I will take up the discussion with you after this event. Thank you very, very much, Christina. Okay, any other questions? Any questions from our audience, feedbacks? We appreciate anyone.
Yeah, I think one of the questions I really would have wanted to, especially for entrepreneurs in the meeting that I think walking the talk we are trying to address, I would have appreciated if we can actually get their take on, because a lot of what I think I've heard so far is a lot about brand awareness, marketing, and really getting Nigerian brands out there and positioning Nigerian brands on the global scale, which I think practice, obviously there's obviously a gap and a disconnect. If the legitimate challenges maybe that have been experienced, the reason I say so is because having an idea on the gap would really help bridge the gap. And I think for me, this is what I see the benefit of such sessions are, where you can have people from different aspects of industry and cross global dimensions come together to see how can we solve problems, how can we because it's all about creating the bridges that we need. So I would really appreciate the actual boots on the ground perspective on what challenges are, so that at least that can be something that really helps. And I'm really glad for the people, both the panelists that spoke and those that have joined, that are very resourceful at how much we can bring to the table. So that would be something for me that would be helpful to actually help the actual development and implementation move forward. Thank you. I see 3 hands raised.
Okay, Yinka, please speak.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to the organizers, because I'm based, well, let me start. My name is Olayinka. I'm based in the US. I just stumbled across this event on Eventbrite, and I thought it sounded very interesting. And I listened to all the speakers and it was very, very informative and very insightful. So thank you to the organizers and all the speakers. My question is, well, I guess I have two questions. One is, how can the diaspora be, I guess, of help to entrepreneurs coming from Nigeria, especially since we are here on ground and a lot of the diaspora community is actually doing quite well. So I want to know what that would look like, what kind of support the diaspora can give to incoming entrepreneurs. So that's the first one. The second question is more or less like, I think that something that might be helpful to share, I guess it's not like a question, is resources. What are there resources for entrepreneurs that are trying to do global business? And the reason why I'm asking this is because here in the US, I see a lot of, like a lot of resources for global business, especially between countries like Nigeria and the US. So entrepreneurs coming in here, there's a lot of risk. It's very expensive. There's a lot of factors as we've talked about. So are there resources to help these entrepreneurs break into these global markets? So those are, I guess, questions and feedback or something that I'd like to know. Yes.
Yeah. Can I take a stab at it? Or Bukola, is that okay?
Hello, Mr. Taiwo. Hello, Mr. Taiwo. I think
Yes.
you can go ahead. This is Femi.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, there are tons of resources, there are tons of groups like ANA that I think this was being mentioned earlier, and the other gentleman, I don't remember his name, but there's a lot of groups and associations, there are regions and boards of trades and so on and so forth like that. Because you can't do it alone, even if you have online resources on how to do some of in the various ecosystems that you're going to be part of. And one of the things I will also say is this, that always be mindful that when you say maybe you think you want to go into America, for example, you may certain states and maybe even cities in certain states. For example, Uber signs a contract they have an agreement, it's on a city by city level, which means in one state, for example, they might have agreements with 5 cities, and there are different rules, different engagements, and so on and so forth. In Ontario, it's almost a city by city level that they operate. The rules in Toronto are different from the rules in some of the other parts of GTA and then other parts of Ontario as well. So those things are very important to understand it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that the industry you want to operate in matters. The concerns, do you need any licensing? Do you need all of those things like that there? And that's where you need people who can guide you along, that journey. You can read a lot of it online, but from experience, it's always best to have someone or people put you through. And so what Nigerians in diaspora can do is to scour, the market for opportunities, speak to economic development teams, see what the government is thinking, see where the shortfalls are, see where, there are a lot of things that are happening or the potentials for growth, and then be able to present those opportunities. If you have a clear understanding of those things, present those opportunities to Nigerians who are looking to scale down here. And for Nigerians who are trying to bring their businesses here or expand here, to also understand what sells here. And I don't say that in the simplest sense. What you're bringing may not work. 100% may not work. You may have to develop something entirely new for the market, or move things around just to create something new and so on and so forth for the market. So it's not a it's not a one size fits all. And because it's working in Nigeria or some other part of the world doesn't mean it will be accepted here. And I think that's very important to factor in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taiwo. Mrs. Tinuke, please.
Yes, Thank you. If I can just add to what Taiwo just said, I totally agree with that assertion. He's spot on in my view, in the sense that the regional dimension, and I'm talking now when we're moving from just talking about the issue to thinking how do we actually create the bridges we need and the leverage to actually move things to the next level, if that's what we're really our intention is here. The regional dimension to things in North America, that is US and Canada, is pretty dynamic, so you have to be very region specific, and whatever. That's where a lot of data and research plays a big part. What I do see a lot of sense in what he has said, and this is why I'm commenting, is that there are a lot of organizations, not-for-profits on ground, and I think I totally agree with him. He mentioned AME. AME is one of them, and different, that are targeted towards small business, growth within the diaspora for, I'll say Nigerian, or now, African or people of color. So these organizations that could definitely be leveraged. And the other way to do it is, I mentioned the city of Brampton. So Brampton is a city in Ontario where I reside. They've actually created inroads, the link I sent. I'm happy to post the link again, where they're actually encouraging foreign direct investment, where they actually want to they've opened up their community in such a way that they're encouraging even people that are not necessarily resident within Ontario or Canada to definitely, take advantage of the structures that they're putting in place. But again, it starts out with a lot of research, a lot of, definitely leveraging those on ground that are available. So, I mean, depending on how this wants to go, I would definitely suggest, maybe anybody interested liaising with yourself, Bukola, within Standards VP, to kind of definitely help navigate this road, but it is possible to do. I think that's what I'm trying to drive at. It's not impossible. It just takes strategic, strategic understanding and leveraging, the structures that are currently on ground for that bridging to take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope your questions were answered.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, if you have more questions, we're still available via our email, info@smp.net, for more questions you have. Okay, I have Babalaji raising his hands. Please unmute yourself to speak.
Okay, yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, the speakers. It has actually been a great one, and I've learned a lot. My notes are here full, and yeah, so let me go straight to the question. I'm thinking, how can businesses strike a balance between maintaining a strong national identity and also still they still remain appealing to diverse international audiences out there without diluting or compromising their brand's essence, as the case may be? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, I think I'm done with the question. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I take a stab at that as well?
Yeah, sure.
First. Yeah, so the question is always, what's the national or brand, that thing that speaks to you about being Nigerian? Those things have to be clearly, identified first and foremost. I've seen a lot of brands, come in here, and there's no real dilution. There's nothing that says you can't carry your brand essence, to the new market that you're going into. I think what's most important is understanding what that market needs and how your brand can meet that need, if it is possible. Isn't, then is how can you make things work around, which is why I talked about it being a process and not about the product. Your product may work the way it is where you are 100%. But let me give this example. It's like you're going to, like a marriage, you're going to marry into somebody else's family. There's certain things they're watching out for, and there's certain things you're looking out for. Those things have to align. If they don't align, then there's a problem. You can't say, oh, this is what I'm looking for, Whether they have any request or anything like that or not, it doesn't matter. All you're interested in is what you want. It doesn't work that way. And so it's important to always reevaluate that and say, what are the real core things in South that we won't throw away, that we're not going to lose because of this at the end of the day? And sometimes maybe it's a decision you say, look, we're not ready to sacrifice this, and you leave it alone. But I think more importantly is that I've seen over time is once there's an economic incentive, people are more than willing to make the necessary adjustments.
Bukola, can I also speak on that?
Yes.
Indigenous, yeah. And I think Taiwo has a good point. When the economic incentives pivots on anything necessary, right? So I want to look at it from the perspective of, I once heard a South African business person address this, and how he talked about it was from the context of their local South African brands that appeal to the indigenous, how do you put it now, sense of, I guess, you know, their sense of themselves. And then I think he really brought it home for me. And how he compared it was like, for instance, a local sneaker cartel or branding that, you know, definitely uses certain colors, you know, and has certain slogans and certain branding, you know, around it, you know, that appeals to the local tribe or the local group of people. But when you're going to a global perspective, you find that you either have to change course, make it more appealing to a global audience, or you take the same model and translate it into a lingua that the people you're going to can understand. Now, that's never an easy process. In fact, he used an analogy between, say, a local, let me use, this is sneakers, shoes, local shoe brand, and Adidas and Nike. There's something the local brands have understood that make their brands global. That whatever country of the world you're in, if you see a Nike pair of sneakers on Adidas, it appeals to you. Or even Kanye West, I don't buy his footwear, but I know he has, you know, the Ye footwear. Global brands have transcended local, localized norms, you know, and establishments. So if you're local, my honest, sincere, boots on the ground advice would be mop up and leverage as much of your local leverage you can. Because if you're being tailored towards a specific geographical location, that's the model you have built. Mop and leverage and use up as much as you can. And when you feel you are ready to transcend from a local branding to a more global scale, you really need to look at models that have, one, done that transition, and two, the global brands and what they do differently. Because in all fairness, these are two different brands. And in fact, there was an analogy that the person gave that really hit home for me. He said, if he creates because, you know, let me use young people. Young people, you know, we say younger people, because I'm not that young anymore, if I want to be sincere. But they like the coolest things. If you create a sneaker brand of shoes, sneaker shoes, and say in it is a way a certain group of people in a certain country say, isn't it? Now, if you belong to that group of people in the UK that use the word in it, it would make total sense to you, and you would purchase that brand of sneakers or jersey or whatever, because the slogans appeal to you. But if you're not in that geographical region, then it has to be translated into what you would understand. You get why this local branding can be very geography-centric. And so that's why I'm saying, if it's a local brand, mop up as much as you can from that space, because that is the branding and the model you have created. And when you feel you are ready, I say so because it's going to take resources and a whole broader sense of thinking to move from a local brand that has been localized to a global brand that will appeal across a wider audience. I hope this helps, but I'm trying to get you to see it from a very realistic perspective so that nobody shoots themselves in the foot trying to take their localized success and translate it to global just because it succeeds in, say, let me use an example, Lagos, Nigeria, or I was born and raised in Borno State, Maiduguri in Borno State, it means it's going to succeed globally. It's not always the case. Hope that helps.
All right. Let me add to this what Tonika said, and very spot on. Let me give an example. So their car brands, for example, their Volkswagen's largest SUV is called VW Atlas. It's only built for the North American market. They don't even sell it in the UK. It was a replacement for the Touareg, which they don't produce here anymore, but they still produce the Touareg in the UK. And VW Atlas is not built for any other, it's not built even for the Nigerian market or the African market as well. The point is, they could easily export it and say it's VW and take it there. They're not losing anything. You realize in North America, the vehicle types are selling the most are the SUVs, and the 7-seater, 8-seater family SUVs that people are looking for more. So they decided to double down on that. Ford has stopped producing a lot of their sedans, and they're going to be producing more, SUVs, and so on and so forth like that going forward. The reason is because they're adapting to the needs of the market. So if these are established brands that are already been in these countries, in these markets, in these regions, and they're making those efforts, you as a new brand need to understand that your work is cut out for you. It's not different for you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thank you very much. That helped. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tayo and Mr. Tinoke. Thank you so much for the responses you've been given so far. I hope our questions have been answered. Okay, any more questions? Because we need to bring this to a close. We won't be able to take questions anymore. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so I'll take that as no more questions. So I want to say a very big thank you to everyone, on this call. Thank you for being on this meeting. I hope it's been a learning and refreshing time for you, and I hope that this knowledge we've gained, these insights we've received, will help us to take our business to the next level. Like Tina said, it's not just about hearing, it's about practicalizing what we've heard. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us and we'll be able to guide you through. Okay, before we bring this to a close, we'd just like to introduce who we are and what we do, and then we'll wrap it up. I call it a day. I'd like to hand over to Damilare to take this session. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to our facilitators and to everyone on the call. All right, I will share my screen briefly. I'm disabled to share my screen. Please. All right, so while we wait for the host to permit me to share my screen, and this webinar is hosted by Standards and Best Practice, and we're an independent certification body. We provide education and certification under ISO 17024 for individuals, organizations, and professionals, giving them validated education and assessment against globally recognized standards and best practices. And standards and best practices were a certification body that leverages on recent technologies to deliver exceptional training and certification programs on various ISO standards such as ISO 9001, ISO 27001, ISO 22301, 55001, and lots more, in empowering professionals and businesses, enabling them to achieve excellence in IT governance, cyber security, and other critical areas. So you can visit us on our website, www.sandbp.net, to explore some of our free foundation courses and varieties of our premium courses. And I'll be dropping in the chat box our social media handle if you want to know more about us and what we do, who we are. Thank you very much once again.
Okay, thank you, Damilare, for that session. So we've come to the end of this webinar. We'll be sending you the recording in next week. You should get the recording and also the certificate of completion as a participant of this webinar. Thank you very much. We usually hold other webinars and we will let you know when next webinar events will be holding. Once again, I want to say a big thank you to all our facilitators and every person on this call. We appreciate your time and staying to the end. Thank you and have a very good evening. Bye for now.
Standards and best practice, your partner in professional development.